Refugees are a global situation and have deep roots and impacts. Thus, we believe that having an overview of the evolution of refugees flows across the world between 1951 and 2015, and understanding the factors, the links, and the reasons which connect a refugee to its host country can be of great interest. This is why we decided to set up a project based on the host nations of refugees datasets to offer this possibility. Our platform will allow users to have a quick, complete understanding of the evolution of refugees flows in only 3 visuals. All the main information is presented, and by playing with the filters and the additional content provided on different visuals, each user will have a unique experience. To provide the best possible experience, we have created a simple and visual interface to display our analysis. The website consists of a homepage reminding the subject of the analysis. Clicking on the Discover the Analysis button leads to a menu that summarizes the 3 types of visuals that can be found on the site. Each of them leads directly to the chosen visual by clicking on the corresponding logo. The navigation in the rest of the site is then done in a very natural way.
So if we first go to the general overview, we can have an analysis of the number of refugees between 1951 and 2015. As we see first, we have a slider for year, so you can choose which year you want to focus on. And then you have different filter, either on continent or on country, origin, destination continent, origin country, or destination country. So our first graph is represents the flows across continents from origin to destination. So you can click on a continent, it appears red, and you have all the flows coming and going from that continent. More, if you click on an arrow, you have all the numbers of total populations that go, for example, from Asia to Asia. Then we have 2 graphs representing the top 5 asylum countries or the top 5 origin country. And so you can just click on a color, and then, you have the flows that are shown. And also you have all the information on the total population going to that country and the percentage of the total population it represents. Then when you move to the historical analysis, we have the same filters as the page before. And so you can choose a continent, for example, Northern America. And you can see all the evolution of refugees that went to Northern America between 1950 and 2015. This bar chart is related to a historical event. You see the little eye that open a Wikipedia page. For example, let's focus on the decolonization era. Here you have the Wikipedia page related to that era. Now moving to the 3rd page, and you have an economic analysis of the number of refugees. Again, you can choose to focus on a continent or a country. Then you have 2 graphs about that create a relation between this total number of refugees and the average GDP per capita between 2000 and 2015. Each color represents a continent, and you can play with the scale if you want to focus on a special interval. You can do this for the axis GDP per capita or for the axis total number of refugees. Finally, you can see an histogram that help compare the average GDP per capita between the origin continent and the asylum continent. So again, when you put your mouse on it, you have the real number of the real average GDP per capita of that continent.
So while analyzing our dataset and building our website, we encountered some interesting findings. First of all, we could notice that refugees usually go to countries in the same area as the one they are living, instead of going to richer countries. We can see it on the overview section with major flows going in and out of Asia or Africa, while flows between regions seem less significant. Focusing more on the economic meaning of this finding and interpreting the graph comparison of GDP per capita between origin countries and destination countries of a continent, refugees don't go where GDP per capita is higher, but actually go to closer countries where indicators in the asylum countries seem to be closely the same as the origin country. We see very few differences in the mean of GDP per capita between origin countries and destination countries of the same continent. The fact, however, that destination countries in Northern America seem to have a lower GDP per capita could be explained by the tax havens. We also clearly see a huge disparity between continents in terms of indicators. Focusing in the second part on the historical analysis of our dataset, we observe a great increase in the number of refugees from Southern America in the beginning of the year 2000. We also notice that almost all refugees come from Colombia, which could be explained by the guerrilla warfare that started around the same time. The second noticeable event is the Indian-Pakistan War of 1972, which caused a peak in the number of people fleeing the countries, around 10 million refugees.
So then we will analyze the limitation of our work. As we can see, we have a lack of global data. If we go back to the Colombian example, so we see that in the historical evolution, as we mentioned, that it has only evolved since the 2000s, but actually the guerrillas in Colombia has started way before this date, maybe around 64, and but there is not much of number of refugees before that. So maybe it shows that we don't have that data and has not been measured before, which misleads our analysis. And then also we have a lack of economical data, which limits our analysis. Then if we go on page 3, we can see that we only focused on GDP per capita. But we also had on our data set the Gini index or the alphabetization rate, which are available, but the data is empty for most of the countries because it wasn't able to be measured in most of them. So it limits our analysis. Also, we could think that in terms of design, we could have used more visual tools such as maps. However, it would have needed some tools, some latitude and longitude data, which was hard to find for every country, and it was not provided in our data set. We had the country code, however, it works only for a few map visuals, which are not allowed to be displayed on a public website. So, in terms of possible future work, we think that visually wise, we could work on such a map shown in the example. I think we think that it could be interesting to see the refugee flows over the years and how it has evolved. In terms of analysis wise, we could provide a parallel analysis with the cause of refugees. An interesting data set is provided by the Uppsala Conflict Data Program. It shows the different types of violence across the world, their evolution, the number of casualties, and so on. Interesting parallels could be done with questions such as which type of conflict creates the most number of refugees, and if a conflict lasts for many years in a country, is the number of refugees over the years linear, exponential with the number of deaths created, or does it diminishes, showing more some sort of acceptance of the conflict, or at least the remaining citizens learn to live with it. So that was our analysis and our presentation for our work, and we thank you for your attention.